Hello, everyone, and welcome to this broadcast of the Prism 4 School of Business. As this is your first time, welcome. If you've been here before, thank you for your support. Please, as usual, excuse me, share the videos. This is how the algorithm spreads the channel so that we have a larger following consuming the information that we provide here. I am so glad to be speaking with you today because I'm going to be covering a topic that's kind of challenging for most business people. And what I'm talking about is the funding that the federal government offers to small business. It's really a behemoth, and by that I mean it's huge and really hard to navigate. And so I come to you today to kind of try to make it simpler for the average business person to understand and consume what is available for them, and is it even feasible for them to enter the process. The federal government funding process, look at it as having two arms. One arm deals with contracting, where businesses can apply for contracts, big, small, of different genres. On the other side, you've got the funding and loan programs. So you may not qualify for a contract, but you may definitely on the other side qualify for a loan or a grant or any other type of funding vehicle. So the federal government has or spends over $5 trillion with a T dollars annually. And they have developed programs that attempt to level the playing field for small business for certain procurements. These are called small business set-asides. This program helps small business to compete and win federal contracts. Now, there are two types of set-asides. And in this episode, I'm just going to talk about the two different types of set-asides and the programs that are available under the set-aside program. And then in the upcoming weeks, I'll be talking about different topics, such as, giving you more details rather on the different programs, how you qualify for them. And if you don't qualify, how can you qualify yourself to become part of that process? So let's talk about set-asides. There are two types of set-aside programs. And by set-asides, it means exactly the way it sounds like. These programs are set aside for specific people. So there are competitive set-aside contracts, and there are sole source set-aside contracts. Remember, I'm speaking to you now about the contracting side of the federal government funding process. Later on, we'll talk about the other side, which is the loan, procurement, and other funding opportunities that has nothing to do with contracting. So what are competitive set-aside contracts? This program enables the federal government to set aside certain contracts exclusively for small business that could perform the work or provide the services or products being purchased. With some exceptions, this happens automatically for government contracts, whereas in some scenarios, there must be at least two small businesses competing for a particular contract. So the operative word in this competitive set-aside is it has to be competitive. So it can't just be one business applying for this particular contract. Whereas the sole source set-aside contract are a kind of procurement issued without a competitive bidding process. This usually happens in situations where only a single business can fulfill the requirements of that contract. So let's say you're a business that invented something that clears up industrial waste, and you're the only company that does that type of work, then you would be eligible for a sole source set-aside project. As I said, this usually happens in situations where only a single business can fulfill the requirements. In some cases, sole source contracts must be bid publicly and be marked with an intent to sole source. Potential vendors can still view and bid on these contracts. However, and once the bidding process begins, the intent to sole source will be withdrawn. So even though it starts out as a sole source, if other people come forward that can prove that they can provide this service and can be competitive with that designated sole source contractor, then it loses its sole source description, and then it's open for bidding. So how does this break down? How does the set-aside product contracts break down for regular small business? So there are certain types of set-aside program categories. So now you have two types of set-aside contracts. Now you have the different categories. So guys, I'm trying to break it down for you so you can get an idea of where you might fit and how you might qualify. So there are business development programs under these set-aside program categories. If you live in a city that has small business development centers, for example, in the state of Florida, where I am, Florida International University as a business development program. So this, obviously, they qualified for a set-aside program, and therefore they provide outreach, support, and other business tools, training for small business. So that's business development. Then you've got service-disabled veteran-owned small business for those veterans who were disabled while in service. There's a set-aside program for them. Historically underutilized business zones is another set-aside program. And this is in zones that typically were not attractive or set up as a business area. So for example, in these zones, you wouldn't see shopping centers, business centers, anything that can attract small business. So there are set-asides for them as well. Women-owned small business and economically disadvantaged women-owned small business is also another set-aside program. If you're a woman who owns a small business, you're economically disadvantaged, and in the next video coming up, I'll give you details of who is an economically disadvantaged woman. So for all of these set-aside program categories, in the next video, I will break it down even further to tell you, how do you qualify to set up a business development program? Are you a service-disabled veteran? Does your business reside in a hub zone, historically underutilized business zone? Are you a woman-owned small business, and are you an economically disadvantaged woman with owned small business? So these would be the categories that fall under set-asides. And for the next, in the next video, I will break down for you what exactly these programs entail. How do you qualify? How do you apply? And the whole process of putting yourself into the system where you can be considered for some of these set-aside programs. If you are still confused about the whole federal funding process, you're not alone. It's challenging to understand. The best way I can say for you to even start to grasp what it entails is just to remember it's two-tiered. One tier is contracts, and the next tier is funding, loans, and other grant-aided programs for small business. And then I'm starting with the contracting side first, where now I'm talking to you about the set-aside contracts. And then in the next video, I will be breaking down those set-aside programs that fall under the set-asides that you may or may not qualify for. Maybe you belong on the other tier that deals with loans and other funding vehicles. So that's what I'm here to do for you, is really to break it down, simplify the process for you so that you know as a business owner where you belong. I am really motivated and passionate about making sure that small business get access to these funds so they can really build and grow their business. We don't want to leave money on the table, because if that money is not utilized, then it goes back to the federal government. And as a driver of the economy, the federal government is really committed to making sure that they support small business as much as they can. So that's all I'm going to cover for today, because I don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of information in one go. So thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel, share it with your network, like the video, click the notification so that you know when the next video uploads, so that you can keep learning in a step-by-step manner the whole process of procuring federal funding options. Until for the next video, as I said, I'll break down the programs even more. But if you feel at the end of the video and at the end of the videos that I'm going to share further information with you, and you need more hand holding, then you can definitely reach out to me. You can, I'm Salome Chung on all social media platforms. I will put my information in the description box. So if you need further assistance, maybe more in-depth, you have more in-depth questions about where you are as a business and how do you begin to navigate this process, then definitely reach out to me. So I can't wait to upload the next video so that I can talk to you about the different programs, how you can qualify, and really get your business on the right path. If you're seeking this type of funding, you may not even know that they're available and that this is something that you need to pursue. So until the next video, excuse me, thanks for joining in. As you know, the School of Small Business, where I pride myself on being on the cutting edge of the issues facing small business and providing strategies to help you as a small business navigate these issues. So thank you again for tuning in. You know what to do: like, comment, subscribe, and until I see you again, be well.